We're still in the midst of the NFL preseason, but September, it's just right around the corner, and I know for a lot of fans in Denver, September 9th can't get here soon enough. So I want to bring in CBS Denver sports anchor and Broncos expert Michael Spencer. And hey, Michael, how's it going?
Hey, Katie, good. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, so I want to talk about this next season because there's a lot of changes really for Denver. And heading into the season, how has the first change, really, new head coach Vic Fangio changed the culture or the vibe around the Broncos?
Well, you know, it's funny. Fangio's a guy who's been in the NFL for a long time, 30-plus years. This is obviously his first time as a head coach, though, and his impact was really felt immediately that very first day of training camp. There was no music, and that kind of was much different than what we'd seen under Vance Joseph, different than what we had seen under Gary Kubiak as well. And to me, that really kind of set the tone. And he was asked about that a couple of days into camp, and the big difference that he said was, look, we're out here to get work done. And I think that is kind of translated into his team that, hey, we're not out here to have fun. You may not like what we're doing out here at training camp, but at the end of the day, it's going to make us a better football team.
And Michael, another new leader for the Broncos, quarterback Joe Flacco. Thoughts after what you saw of him really in training camp and during the preseason so far?
Well, I think Joe's been fairly impressive. I mean, obviously he hasn't played a whole bunch in the preseason, so he hasn't put up necessarily the monster numbers. But he's a guy that comes in, he's got the Super Bowl MVP pedigree, he's got a background to where he is a proven winner. And so this is a franchise that in those 2 years where they really struggled, and the year before that, ever since they lost Peyton Manning really after Super Bowl 50, they've been struggling to find a quarterback. They brought Mark Sanchez in, thought he was going to be the guy. Drafted Paxton Lynch, thought he was going to be the guy. Ended up as Trevor Siemian. Then you go to Case Keenum. They've been looking for someone who can come in and cement himself as the starting quarterback, not just because John Elway says that he's going to be the starting quarterback, but because he's talented enough to win that job. And I think that's what Joe Flacco has done.
Lots of changes on the offensive side of the ball, but moving over to the defense, because they seem to really be a strength for the Broncos in recent seasons. Can we expect the same from them this year?
Yeah, I think they will be, and they might actually even be better. I mean, we saw it with Bradley Chubb in his game against the 49ers the other night in the preseason. He was absolutely fantastic, and so you compliment him and Von Miller together. The inside linebacker spot is really one issue where I think you're going to have some concerns. They've got some health issues there. Todd Davis has had a health issue with his calf. He hasn't progressed as well as they thought. They didn't draft an inside linebacker, didn't get one in free agency, which was really a big surprise.
Speaking of those kind of victories, if we have any bold predictions, I guess, for the turnout this season, at the end of the season, we're still in the preseason right now, but I got to ask you, do you have any predictions on the win-loss there?
Well, if you're putting me on the spot and want me to be bold, I'll say that the Broncos will make the playoffs. That's my bold prediction. I think 8-8 is probably realistic. I still have concerns about the offense, especially that offensive line and issues there. So that's the big question. We know their defense is going to be good. How good is their offense going to be? And is special teams going to hurt them? They have been suspect at best over this preseason. So that could be an area that comes back to bite them during the regular season. They won 6 games last year. You would think Joe Flacco is good for a win. You would think Vic Fangio is good for an additional win. So I think 8-8 is probably where this team finishes. But if you want me to go bold, Katie, I'll go bold and say the Broncos are going to make the playoffs.
Hey, Michael, I think that's exactly what Denver fans are going to want to hear. They want to hear that they're going to make a playoff run.
We'll see if it comes to fruition.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. The Broncos head to Oakland to face the Raiders September 9th. Katie Johnston, CBSDenver.com.